It's your girl, the Grown Woman Gamer, and today I'm coming at you with my thoughts about how Ben Simmons could impact the Nets Celtics series. Before I get into that, support your girl. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, comment whether you agree with me or not, and don't forget to share if you care.
The Nets have been teasing the possibility of Ben Simmons playing in this series against the Boston Celtics. Some sports analyst, Kendrick Perkins for example, don't feel that it would be wise to introduce Ben Simmons into such a tightly contested series where the Nets are in many ways outmatched. And I completely understand this logic. Most basketball players need a few games to reacclimate themselves to the speed and intensity of full contact, game time, 5-on-5 NBA basketball. I get that some people think it's kind of ridiculous to ask Ben Simmons to figure out how to play with this team in games that are so important. But watching game 2, I honestly don't know if the Nets have any other choice. I've watched Kevin Durant play basketball for a very long time, and I have never seen him struggle the way he's struggling against the Celtics defense. When I watch KD play with the Golden State Warriors, I would often remark that the man doesn't even break a sweat. I've seen KD sweat more in this series than I think he has in his entire career. In game 2, I did think he played really smart in the first half, recognizing that he wasn't getting an inch from the Boston defense. He distributed the basketball to Bruce Brown and Seth Curry and Dragic, and they were carrying the Nets offense into the second half. Unfortunately, in game 2, the Nets were not getting as much scoring from Kyrie Irving. Marcus Smart was all over Kyrie, and his shots just weren't falling. The other thing I noticed is that KD and Kyrie both look exhausted. This is not a good sign when you consider the fact that we are only 2 games into the first round. I understand that they had to play in the play-in tournament, and perhaps this is contributing to the fatigue that is very clear when you watch them, but these 2 stars have to bring more energy into the fourth quarter in order to compete with a younger, faster, more physical Celtics squad. This brings me to Ben Simmons. What I would do if I was Steve Nash is play Ben Simmons very strategically. I would ask him to do 3 things. Number 1, have Ben Simmons take on the most difficult defensive assignment for that game. Most of the time that's going to be Jason Tatum. It's worth noting that Kevin Durant has had to play more defense in this series than I think I've ever seen him play in any other series with any other team that he's ever been on, maybe since he was on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the man is tired. By the time they get to the fourth quarter, he looks gassed. Kyrie looks gassed, and it's not a good look. By having Ben Simmons take on Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or some combination of both of these guys throughout the game, it gives KD the opportunity not to rest on defense, but to not have to exert so much energy that by the time they get to the fourth quarter, both KD and Kyrie may have a little bit more to give, which is what they need in the fourth quarter to win these games against the Celtics. Number 2, put the ball in Ben Simmons' hands to get Kevin Durant off the ball. The easiest person to prepare for is the person you know is going to have the ball most of the time. While the strategy of running Kevin Durant as a point forward worked in previous series, this is not a good strategy in this series because it puts a target on his back. The result has been forced turnovers, forced shots, and leaving Kevin Durant, your best player, completely exposed on offense. If you put the ball in Ben Simmons' hands, a player who doesn't pose as much of a threat on offense, it will force the Boston Celtics to make more challenging decisions on defense. Right now, the Celtics know exactly what the Nets are going to do. They're one of 3 options that they run on any given offensive possession. Run the offense through KD, run the offense through Kyrie, or when that fails, bail out by passing to either Seth Curry, Patty Mills, Dragic, or Bruce Brown. And this is not a complex enough offensive strategy for a team that's rated number 1 in defense. The third thing that I would ask Ben Simmons to do is protect the basketball and just do his very best to keep turnovers at a minimum. At this point, what do the Nets have to lose? I will tell you this much. If the Nets play in games 3 and 4 the same way they did in games 1 and 2, and I'm talking about the strategy that they've used on offense that is way too easy for the Boston Celtics to not only predict but guard against, then they're going to lose games 3 and 4 and they will get swept. And let me be very specific. The Nets will lose these games in the fourth quarter once they run out of gas from being worn into the ground by the Boston Celtics defense for those first 3 quarters. Playing Ben Simmons as a kind of wild card makes the Celtics defense a bit less prepared for a couple of reasons. Number 1, they don't know what Ben Simmons is capable of, and frankly, none of us do. The man hasn't played basketball for over a year. Secondly, we don't know how he's going to be able to contribute on offense because his track record shows that he's not necessarily the best jump shooter. He can score around the rim, he is 6'10", but we don't know what he's going to bring, and that unknown is probably the best advantage that the Nets will have against the Celtics because they can't adequately prepare for what they don't know, right? And I also realized that one of the biggest issues here is a conditioning issue, the Boston Celtics are able to play through 4 quarters with a similar level of intensity throughout the game. While the Nets are good for a half a game, they kind of falter in the third and are pretty much gassed by the fourth quarter. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section. What kind of impact could Ben Simmons have on this series? Should they even play Ben Simmons in games 3 and 4? And do you think that there is any coming back from those first 2 losses for the Brooklyn Nets? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Don't forget to share if you care, and comment whether you agree with me or not. And I'm out.